Hello and good morning, Internet. Let's continue our series on helping you to choose your first car. Right. In the earlier two series, we saw how what is important for you to choose and what are the different classifications that you need to choose when selecting a particular model and a type. Right. Now, let's look at the most highly debated or the highly, I would say, highly pushed market sentiment that companies are pushing on to you in terms of the options that they're giving. Like they give you a petrol, they give you multiple fuel options like petrol, diesel, CNG, and electric. Right. So if you look at it now, as of effect of today, you cannot have any more diesel vehicles running into the market because of the stricter emission norms. So mostly all the passenger car transports that you see are you will not find diesel options for those passenger car variants. As such, we will not be seeing diesel going forward, but that's not a certain. If there are manufacturers and if they push their engineering limits, you might see, but due to stricter emission norms, you will not find diesel cars as an option for some time now. So now, given that this is the scenario, let's look at the three major options that you get. You get the petrol, you get the CNG, you get the electric vehicle. Right. So out of these three, petrol and CNG are very similar. However, in terms of risk, CNG has a more higher risk in terms of usage because the tank tends to explode when you fill fuel. So that is the only difference between petrol and CNG. But otherwise, in terms of emissions and everything, they are very similar. And in terms of the power, CNG will produce less power because of the less fuel density that it has. And CNG is also not purely CNG, right? You just need some kind of a starter to start and then the CNG kicks in. So, in terms of every other aspect, everything has its own risks, pros, cons, uh, everything, right? So, but petrol and CNG are very similar, and people on the road have been very accustomed to seeing either one of those two vehicles. CNG might not be very popular in the south, but in north, CNG is a very popular option. But however, as people in the north might know, CNG has a very high tendency to I wouldn't say it has a very high tendency. I would say it's very likely to explode when you refill. That's why if you have a CNG car, it is recommended that you get out of the car when you fill, so that the tank doesn't, in case something like this happens. That's because of all the pressure variations that is there within the cylinder that it happens. It's not. Is it preventable? That's a question that a manufacturer has to answer, right? Technically, from an engineering standpoint, I think the problem should be preventable if due research was done. But however, manufacturers don't seem to do the due diligence on that. So, out of all the three options, I would say that the best option for you for your first car is a petrol car. The reason being is the reason being is very simple, right? See, electric vehicles might look fancy and might look very appealing to you as a first-time customer, but the thing is, you yourself don't know what it is, how your driving pattern is going to be, and you don't even know. That's why you want to explore this field. That's why you want a car in the first place, right? And given that this is what you want, why do you want to limit yourself to an EV? Right? I have a very strong opinion on EVs, which I'll describe a bit later. But the thing is, why do you want to restrict yourself, right? To buying an EV and living through the hardship of owning an EV, right? I don't feel that it is worth it. In order for you to learn more about yourself and know what it is that you want your car to do, I would strongly suggest that you start out with a petrol car and then based on how you feel and how comfortable you feel, you may switch over to the EV, right? See, on coming back to the point on EVs, you might argue that they contribute for less emission, they cost less to maintain, they cost like you don't have to put petrol, which is a relatively costly commodity these days, and you don't have to. There's not much of very heavy maintenance oriented. But I bet to argue that you're not seeing the complete picture over here, right? When the problems of practically owning a EV is the fact that EVs are extensively dependent on their battery, and their battery life deteriorates in a cycle like this. So, when the depth of discharge is more, meaning when you're trying to drive your EVs longer, they tend to give you a very less number of cycles. The cycles, when you look at this graph, you may argue that it's 10 power 4, right? How am I going to reach 10 power 4 cycles within a year or a couple of years of my usage? You're right. You're right. But the thing is, it's not dependent only on graph is not only like this, right? Your graph is more so you could say that your graph is mostly like this. So your cycle decreases as your temperature increases. But when you try to drive a car in a real world environment, your temperature is going to increase for the battery because the battery is going to discharge. And due to onward resistance in motors and due and other factors which you encounter because of the rough terrain in which you will be driving, this is your most likely you're going to use your battery in the lowest of the lowest bands, and that means that your cycle is going to be very low compared to what your manufacturer claims it to be. And because of this reason, what happens is the resale value of your car deteriorates much faster. See, your whole resale value of your EV is dependent on the strength of the battery. If the battery becomes too weak, automatically the resale value of the car is going to deteriorate. You're going to buy a car for say 11 lakhs, 12 lakhs EV, and you're going to lose most of its value in its first year. Does it even make sense to look at it from your point of view, right? If you want to buy a second-hand EV, you're going to prioritize battery first, the health of the battery first more than anything. So if this is not going to be your prime facing car, your first car that you're going to use for driving, EVs are not your great option. You are better off with a petrol than an EV. You might argue on the emission side saying that how owning a EV will contribute for less emission. Your intent is good, but the thing is, they really don't do much in terms of overall air pollution standard, especially in Asia. Transport is the fifth sector, and even in fifth sector, if you look at it, India is not a global contributor for carbon emissions. And in that, the most of the carbon emissions are from the developing world. I agree, but until you know what it is that you want to do with your car, you don't have to worry about these things in your first car. I truly value your interest to keep the world a better place. But the thing is, you don't want to spend 10 lakhs and feel as if like it's a worthless piece of thing, and feel that cars are not meant to be like that. Even to be very honest, I love electric cars for the kind of power that they make and the kind of instantaneous torque that they give. But the truth is this: the technology is very nascent. Manufacturers started exploring this technology somewhere in 2017, 2018, and they had their first prototypes running into the market in 2021. And I feel that that is a very short lead time for development, testing, and ratification of a concept to be released to a mass market. I feel that EVs, as of what they are today, are most likely a marketing push to or to in a more polished sense are like more of a gimmick to sell you something which is more fancier than to do justice to you. And because of this reason, I'm not saying EVs are you asking if are EVs are the future? Yes, but is it the right time to buy an EV? No, that's what I'm trying to say. So if you're planning to buy a first car now, I would strongly suggest that you take my feedback, put into this, do your own research, and then buy. But honestly, as a friend, as a good advisor, this is what I would advise you to do right now. And with this, I'll be signing off for today, and I'll see you guys soon.